Whether you make talking head videos, chainsaw how-tos, motorcycle videos, or drumming tutorials, really any sort of video content, you know that good audio is absolutely essential in making good quality videos. So if you're a content creator and you're looking for a wireless mic setup that's affordable, that's easy to use, reliable, and sounds good, this video is for you. In this video, I'm going to showcase the Fifine M9 Wireless Mic. I'm actually using this mic for this video, and it's plugged into my camera so that you can hear what it sounds like. Talk about some of the pros and cons, who should use it and who shouldn't use it, as well as the ideal settings to avoid sounding really weird. So stick with me through the entirety of the video unless you want to sound weird or buy the wrong microphone. I'm Magnuson, and I've been helping business owners create videos since 2017. It's my goal to make good quality video content easier to make for business owners who are not video professionals. So you don't have to invest thousands of dollars in gear that's really overkill and spending hundreds of hours figuring out how to use it all. While reviewing some options for wireless mics for a client who I'm helping build out her home studio, I was looking around to see what affordable options there were besides the staple wireless mics that people often recommend. I previously reviewed a desktop mic from a company called Fifine, and I had such a good experience with them that I reached out and asked if they have a wireless mic that would work for my client. And it turns out they do. So they sent me one that I could test out and then share my honest feedback and what I thought of the mic. And just like with that other mic, I was not disappointed. Well, eventually I was not disappointed. During some of my testing, I got some really strange results, but once I figured out the setting, it fixed that issue. And again, stick with me for the whole video to make sure you don't make the same mistake. I really don't like recommending equipment that I haven't used personally, or at least have a client using so that I know if it's a good option or not. So rather than just plugging it in and then trying out a few different things and then doing a review video, I wanted to use it for a while so I could get a really good feel for how good this mic is and if it'd be a good option to recommend to people. I tested it with my phone, with my computer, with a camera, and even a standalone audio recorder just to see how it would do with all these different devices. And just to push the boundaries a little bit, I tested some edge cases where you probably wouldn't even use a mic of any sort, like using a chainsaw, but I just wanted to see how it would turn out. Overall, I'm really impressed with this microphone. In fact, I even made a pros and cons list. The pro list is quite long and the con list is extremely short. So I'm going to cover that list now, and then we'll dive into more details and share some examples. So first off, the price is a really big pro. This thing is really affordable. At the moment, there's even a deal on Amazon for $58 for this thing. And normally I think it sells somewhere around $72 or $73. Now there are other budget mics out there, but my experience with Fifine so far has been really good in that they seem to deliver really high quality at really affordable rates. Whereas some other budget things that I've played with always leave me disappointed. I don't have some of the other wireless mics that I would compare this to. And if that's something you'd be interested in hearing, let me know. And maybe I'll pick up a couple of these other mics and just test them out and see how they compare. Next on my pro list is the size. It's quite small compared to some of the other options and doesn't like flop around on my shirt. I also like that it comes with 2 transmitters. So if you ever need 2 mics because you have 2 people talking at the same time in a video, this is a really good option. Next, it's really easy to use. You don't have to pair it. It comes paired out of the box. And when you remove it from the case, it turns on automatically. It literally is just plug and play. I also like that it comes with a charging case and you don't have to plug them in. Although they do have ports on the bottom if you had to charge them while you're using them, but the charging case is really handy. Since we're already talking about charging, the battery life is also really good. I want to teach you a couple terms just because it makes the rest of this easier. But with a wireless mic, you're going to have a transmitter and a receiver. The transmitter is essentially the mic. It's what transmits the signal from the source. And then the receiver is the unit that receives that signal and then plugs it into your phone or computer or camera. So what's really interesting about this is that the receiver, the part that plugs into your camera or phone, Fifine says that it'll run for 12 hours. And then the transmitter, the mic, will run for 6 hours straight. Now, I didn't sit around and record a video for 12 hours straight to see if it is true, but I did use it for a long time and it didn't run out. So one thought I have here is that if you needed to go more than 6 hours, let's say you had a day-long shoot and you were batching a whole bunch of content, if you only need one mic, you could use one mic until it dies and switch to the other mic. And now you've got 12 hours of runtime to make your videos. So unless you're just a freak of nature, it can talk way more than anyone I've ever met. You probably won't run out of battery in a single day shoot. And then it can fully recharge in 90 minutes. So even if you're doing a full day shoot, just plug them into charge when you're taking breaks, and I guarantee you won't run out of battery. I also like that the volume control is really simple. Each transmitter has a button on the receiver where you can click it to change the volume for that thing. And there's 3 settings, low, medium, and high. So it's really easy to change the volume and to see on the receiver what volume level it's currently set to. I have used some budget mics where you can't see that, and you actually have to listen back to the recording to figure out what volume you're set on. I also like that it has a really easy to switch mono and stereo setting. If you're not sure what that means, an audio signal can either be mono, where it's just one channel, or it can be stereo, where there's actually 2 tracks, where you can have a left and a right channel. This isn't really that big a deal unless you're using the 2 mics for a 2-person conversation, and then you really want it set to mono, so that you have one person's mic on the left and one person's mic on the right. This was also the source of part of my issue with the weird sound, and I'll explain that later. It's also really important to note that if you're using it with a phone, at least with the iPhone, and if you're using 2 mics for a 2-person conversation, at least with my phone, it did not split those onto the left and right channels. It combined them. No matter which setting I use, mono or stereo, it combined them together in a stereo track. I don't know if it's just the way it works with a lightning adapter, or if that's just the way that the phone works in general. But if that piece is really important to you and you have an iPhone, again, I don't know how it would work on other phones, but on my phone, it did not split them out. So if that's really important to you, just know that it might not work with the phone. And lastly, it has built-in noise reduction. Now, I would not expect a budget mic to have this feature, and after doing some testing, it's pretty good. Now let's cover the cons. Now, there really is only one thing that I could come up with, and that is if you ever want to upgrade at some point to a lav mic, one of the little mics you can clip on your shirt, you can't do that with this unit. So if that's ever something that you want, I definitely would not recommend this mic. But comparing this to other mics in this budget range, or ones that are even a little bit more expensive, they don't have that option either. So if that's something that's really important to you, you might want to go ahead and just spend the money now on a different unit that has that feature. And if you really twisted my arm to come up with some other kind of con, it would be that it didn't come with a magnet, so that if you don't want to clip it on something and you just want to like stick it to your shirt, it doesn't come with a magnet for you to do that. Now, if that's really important to you, you could buy one, and I'll put a link in the description in case you want to pick one up. So let's talk a little bit more about what comes with the kit. Like I mentioned earlier, it has the charging case where you can charge both transmitters and the receiver, and it's super easy, just drop them right in. It also has an indicator on the front to let you know what the battery life is of the charging case, to let you know when you need to charge it. It also comes with a carrying case that can hold all of it, including all the cables. Speaking of cables, it comes with every kind of cable you would need except for iPhones that need a lightning adapter. So if you have an iPhone that requires a lightning adapter, you'll need one of those. It also comes with a fluffy thing, which we call a dead cat, or I guess in this case, it's more of a dead mouse because it's so small. So like I said in the beginning, I really put this mic through its paces because I really wanted to see how it would stand up in normal applications and some not so normal applications. So now I just want to share some examples from my testing, as well as my overall thoughts and some tips for getting the best out of this mic. Hey friend, real quick, if you're finding this valuable, can you hit that like button? It lets YouTube know that this is valuable and helpful and really helps me out. Thanks. All right, back to the video. If you need to use it in a windy application, this thing works pretty well. I did do some testing outside when it was windy and it did fine. All right, well now we are riding my bike over to what we call the retention pond. It's not really a pond, but it's a spot where when it gets really rainy, when there's tons of extra water, it fills up to prevent flooding. Next, I did some distance testing and really just wanted to be obnoxious and see what it would do in some really not realistic scenarios. Okay, so just to give you an idea, right now I'm 12 feet from my phone, and this tape measure goes to 100 feet. So why don't I just see how far that way we can go? Not every 100 feet, I'll just put a marker and scoot the tape measure. Let's see. So we're walking and talking. 52 feet, holy moly. Oh, the rain's coming through. Not good. So this is 100 feet away. Now, I don't know why you would really need to do this, but hey, this is fun. 200 feet. Just a lovely bike ride in the rain. Can you hear me? I don't know. I won't know until I get back to the studio. Going down the hill. Oh, I'm gonna get wet. I didn't think this through. Can you hear me now? How about now? Where's Waldo? Hey, here I am. How about jumping on a trampoline? You shouldn't have any kind of connectivity issues with this mic. Their website says it's stable up to 160 feet, and in my test, I went way beyond that, and it was fine. Next, I want to talk about the built-in noise reduction feature. For the main portion of this video, I'm not using the built-in noise reduction, and this isn't specific to Fifine. This is any mic that has this feature. I would shut it off. I just don't like using things that I can't turn off or undo when I'm editing. And just so you can hear what it sounds like built in without me changing anything, I'm gonna go ahead and get my AC to turn on so we can hear it. And then I'm gonna switch on the noise reduction to see how it does. I actually can control it with my phone. So let's crank on the AC. Now it just switched on. Can you hear it? Okay, and now I'm gonna switch on noise reduction. So there's a little indicator on this side. See that light? That lets you know that it's on. Okay, let's point it at the thing. We'll see how that sounds in post. So now I left it on and now I'm talking. The air conditioner is running and you probably won't hear it. So here is my special tip to avoid sounding weird. In all of my testing, I went through this phase where I couldn't get it to sound good. Everything that I did, it just sounded weird and I could not figure out what was going on. So what I finally figured out after all this testing is that when the background noise reduction is on and that MS light is off, so it's set to stereo, it sounds weird. There's some kind of phase issue, and I'm not going to get into the nerdy details, but suffice it to say, it just sounded weird. Actually, why don't I show you? So I'm going to switch it to stereo and leave the background noise on so you can hear what it sounds like. So I just switched the MS off, so now it should be set to stereo. Background noise reduction is still on, and it probably sounds a little weird. Hopefully I'm not making a liar out of myself, but there's some kind of weird phasey thing, and it doesn't sound normal or natural, especially when you compare it to what it sounded like before. So now I'm going to switch it back to mono so you can hear the difference. All right, so now it's set back to what it was before, and now it should sound normal again. Okay, and I just switched off the background noise so that you can just hear what it sounds like as I'm talking. The air conditioner is still running, just so you can hear how it picks up background noise. In most cases, I would recommend not using the background noise reduction, just so you have full control over what it sounds like when you're editing. Now I want to talk about some of those edge cases that I mentioned earlier. I figured it would sound fine in a normal application like this, so I wanted to have a little fun and see what it would do in some not so normal situations. Now, if you're a lumberjack or make chainsaw videos, I'm not saying you shouldn't use this. You probably just shouldn't talk while you're cutting. With the noise reduction on, it lowered everything to where you couldn't really hear what I was saying. And then with it off, it was just so loud you couldn't hear what I was saying.
Safety third.
But I really don't think this is a reason not to buy the mic, because even if you make chainsaw videos, you could just talk while you're not chainsawing. Or if for some reason you needed to share information while you're cutting, just do a voiceover. If you do motorcycle videos, I probably would not recommend this mic.
I'm gonna head out on my motorcycle, see how it sounds. I just want to see how this thing handles the noise. And, I'm not expecting it to be able to clean everything up and that there's no noise at all. I just want to see if it's usable. Alright, so let it rip. You talk while the engine is hands up. How does it sound with the noise cancellation off? Can you still hear me? Let's see how this sounds. Can you hear me?
If you make drum videos or any kind of musical instrument video, this mic could totally work. Just don't talk while you're drumming. Noise cancellation is now off. Let's just see what that sounds like. I just want to share a couple quick tips to help you get the best sound possible out of this mic. One would be play with the volume setting to find the right volume for you. This is dependent on what you're plugging it into, if that device has an input volume or not, and also just with how loud that you speak. Now, the way I shoot videos, I always try to have the volume lower than what I want because I never want it to peak out or hit that ceiling to where it starts to distort or sound bad. And you can always turn it up when you're editing. But if you set it too loud, it can be really hard to fix that unless you have professional tools and know how to use them. So to change the volume, you just press A or B, whatever transmitter you want to affect, and push the button, and that little indicator on the receiver will show you what the volume is currently set to. With noise reduction, if you have tools that can clean up the audio, I wouldn't use the built-in noise reduction. But if you don't and you're just lazy, then go ahead and turn it on because it does a pretty good job. Also, always double check that it's not muted. All you gotta do is look at the light. If it's blue, it's not muted. To mute it, you just press the power button once and it'll turn red, and that indicates that now this is muted. So just make a habit, double check that it's blue and not red. Next, let's talk about placement. You always want it as close to your mouth as possible. The further away it is from your mouth, the more it picks up all the stuff that we don't want. Now, I found it works just fine clipping it here, but if I could be really picky, I would actually use a magnet to hold it here. I have one and I tore apart my office and could not find it. So I'll probably just buy another one just so I have one. But I would say putting it here is ideal. So if you've got something you could clip it to or pick up a magnet, you can stick it in this spot. So just like the other Fifine mic that I reviewed, I'm really impressed with the results from this budget mic. It's affordable, it's easy to use, it's well built, it comes with some great features and accessories, and it sounds good. And hey, I know that creating good quality videos is challenging, especially when you're not trained to do this. If you're a busy business owner, you don't have time to figure out what gear you should get and let alone learn how to use it. I've put together a free training that'll help you take your content from amateur to awesome. To get your hands on that, head over to glacierrockmedia.com/studio. Well, thank you for your time and attention, and I'll see you on the next one.